All right. So over here we have video put out by Steele, 12,000 subs. Mortal Kombat 9 is better than MK1. Now this is a massive video. We're not reacting to the whole thing. We're going to do a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end. Please go watch the whole video on his channel, right? And I'll post a link in the description for it, because most of this is covering all the chapters of the story mode, and then into a bunch of other characters that I think he states are not in the story mode at all. And then he talks about other pieces at the end, which is what we're going to cover. So let's go.
If you're one of the 3 people who are keeping up with Mortal Kombat 1, you'll know
It just listen, man, you're not going to make friends talking like that. Good boy.
the game is pretty much dead. If you take a gander at Steam charts, you'll see quite a steep decline from its release. In fact, Mortal Kombat 11 is currently beating it out in amount of people playing, and that game is 5 years old, while Mortal Kombat 1 is only 6 months old.
This is true. Yep, I've been covering this as well. The fact that more people are going back to a previous game, despite all the massive issues that MK11 had, at least for me personally, that's saying a lot.
And Mortal Kombat 11 didn't even have great rave reviews from fans. On release, Mortal Kombat 1 had next to nothing in terms of single-player content. It had the campaign that could be beaten on your day off, and Invasions, which sucks ass in its own special way.
Yeah. Like Midway especially, obviously, you know, they set the foundation with a whole bunch of stuff that other fighting games weren't doing, right? And then they just forgot.
No actual Crypt, no daily ladders, no cool special game modes, absolutely insane microtransactions. $10 for a fatality or for a costume? Are you dead serious? Not to mention the game released for $70. $70! That is absolute robbery for what you get. 12 years before this absolute shit show and poor excuse for a full Mortal Kombat game, we got a far better one. Mortal Kombat, or as everybody else calls it, Mortal Kombat 9.
Yep. This is what I said yesterday, like if MK9 was still available to be purchased and played, actually to add to that, it would have got the Killer Instinct treatment, so they probably would have maybe remastered a little bit more, brought it up to standard on modern consoles, obviously fixed the network coding. But the most important point was that most people would go back to it, right? I truly believe that they delisted it, not because of any sort of licensing reasons, because they simply could have patched out those characters, but because they were trying to bury the legacy of what they had in favor of their new woke rubbish.
The original series reboot. This game at launch came with much more to do and much more fun to be had. You get the story mode, you get the challenge tower, which is fantastic, you get test your luck, which is a lot of fun if you like gambling, as I do, you have an actual crypt that you can grind through, you have 27 combatants, which is more than Mortal Kombat 1 had at release, and best of all, you don't have...
So we got 23 characters for Mortal Kombat 1, including Shang Tsung, right? We never got the infamous 24th character, right? Which is so weird, like having 23 launch characters, right? But if you didn't pre-order and you never got Shang Tsung, you only end up with 22. That's 5 less than the base starting roster for Mortal Kombat 9. And I've covered this before, right? Covered it on my my Twitter channel. Right, I covered it on this channel, that MK9 launched with a great starting roster.
have to pay any extra fucking money for a stupid ass fatality. You can get them all for free, with a lot of them coming from the Crypt, which gives you incentive to keep playing. Honestly, you would think that a game that was developed by a brand new studio after Midway shut down wouldn't go over too well and there would be some glaring issues with it, but that just isn't the case somehow.
Well, the reason why MK9 works so perfectly is because, as Total MK explained it to me, it was still a Midway game. The Midway was making this game, and then everything collapsed, right? So NetherRealm is what we know it from Injustice forward, when they started importing all the stupid woke crap, when Injustice mechanics were working in their way into MK games. There's a reason why none of that exists, and it's so vastly different between MK9 and MK10, and that's because it was a Midway game. It's almost like, and like, I'd be very curious to know what the staffing, developer changes happened between the takeover going over and then becoming NetherRealm or whatnot, but it is so vastly different, right? And again, you know, like, there was none of this woke shit. Just absolutely amazing.
12 years after Mortal Kombat 9 came out, we got Mortal Kombat 1, a game that should have been easy to make. It baffles me how Warner Brothers doesn't know what the Mortal Kombat community wants, and I can tell you for certain, what we want is content for the $70 we paid. For the base...
Yeah, we want content, right? But like what we've seen with, like, for example, I've mentioned this before, my son plays a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. Every single time they start chasing the esports crowd, the game gets fundamentally worse. It's the same thing with fighting games, right? If you start chasing that, oh, this game, we have to market our game to only, like, professional esports players, then it fundamentally destroys the product, because then you're foregoing the fact that this is still an entertainment product, it's a video game, it's a Mortal Kombat game, and not everyone enjoys playing PvP online, right? They want to do a whole bunch of other stuff offline, which is what came through in the 3D era. We got all these different game modes. We got our first introduction to the Crypt. We got the mini games, great conquest mode with Deception, all of this fantastic stuff that Midway themselves said, yep, we're going to give you more than just PvP offline or PvP online. We're going to give you a whole bunch of stuff. And then we get this, like, turd.
Base version of Mortal Kombat for the PlayStation 3, I paid $9.99 at my local retro video game store. That is a price that you can find virtually any retro game store, even some GameStops. If you have a PlayStation Vita, then you can get Mortal Kombat 9 with Kratos and an extra challenge tower for around 25 to 30 bucks. And if you have a PC, you can get the complete edition for about $25 on G2A, and that's the...
So, I highly recommend, because Mortal Kombat Complete Edition would run on a potato PC now, right? Given how long ago it came out, like any PC in the last 5, 6, 7 years would easily destroy this game, so you'll be fine, right? I highly recommend getting the PC version because you can still play online. Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I would get that. Also, you've got access to mods. When I run my modded version of MK9, the PS Vita skins that were only available on the PS Vita, I can actually get now in MK Complete Edition on PC. So now my Complete Edition on PC actually feels like a Complete Edition and then some. It's pretty awesome.
The version that I played for the majority of this video, except when I played as Kratos. You can spend 1/7 of the money on a far superior game. Anyways, enough talking about Mortal Kombat 1. When I get to that video, you'll hear all about what I think about it. For now...
Just... Look how garbage this looks, man. Look at that face, man.
Now, let's just talk about Mortal Kombat 9. Spoiler alert, it's a fantastic game. How the video is structured. If you've seen my
So basically from here on out, he explains the structure of his video. Like I said, he goes into all the chapters in the game, breaks down other characters that weren't part of their stories, and then we're going to go to this part here where we go from like maps moving forward. And not those maps either.
Before the end of the video, I want to talk about the various aspects of the game and what I think about them, starting with the maps. The maps in this game are simply great. You have a classic like the Pit, you have a whole bunch of new maps in cities and in Shao Kahn's lair, and it's just a really solid map selection in general. Plus, there's stage fatalities, which I can't show because if I do, this video will get sniped, but overall, the map...
By the way, I see this a lot too, and Total MK actually has also talked about this as well. My videos, nothing ever happens to my videos because, like, I don't know if it's because they're trying to get their videos to reach, like, the younger audience. I'm always making my videos for like 18 plus, right? And because of that, I never have to censor anything. Everything's fine. You see a lot of creators out there, they're you know, changing the color palette so the blood doesn't look red, it might look green or blue. I don't do any of that. And Total MK has been doing YouTube far longer than me as far as like Mortal Kombat content goes, and he's never had a problem uploading fatalities, having anything played like that or anything like that. It's got to be the settings that people are selecting, and that's why they end up having to do a lot of edits and reshoots or whatever because of that.
Maps in this game are really nice to look at. Fighting. The feeling of the fighting in this game is just so amazing. From the video, you'll see that I said snappy, satisfying, and fun a lot. There aren't really any characters I straight up dislike, and that's because the way the fighting feels in this game is just so amazing.
Word. 100%. Now, I know the only problem is, oh my god, somebody broke a character. Shut up. Nobody gives a shit. Right? Again, does it feel fun to play? Yes. End of story. Right? It's like getting a blowjob. Don't think about it. If you're getting your dick sucked, enjoy it. Alright? Just relax, bro. Go with the flow. You understand what I'm saying? Right?
Crisp. I love the X-ray feature, and it's a cool thing to look at in a fight and gives a moment to breathe. The fighting in this game is so insanely fast-paced, you have to...
By the way, right, the X-ray feature in this game was the first time we actually got a proper super bar and then super move in a Mortal Kombat franchise. The closest that we got to it, which was like a sniff of it, was Mortal Kombat Trilogy when they introduced the aggressor mode, which had the word aggressor fill up. Your character had like a shadowy effect. I think you got extra damage and speed, I think. I'd have to go back and check, because I always turned off aggressor. I never used it, actually, in MK Trilogy. I never liked it, right? It just kind of... I didn't like it. I just wanted the more authentic fight. I didn't need that sort of extra buff. So I always turned it off. But, so this is like the true first time we ever got like a super bar and then a super move with the X-ray in a Mortal Kombat game. It also allowed us to enhance our moves, which also... As far as I'm concerned, and this is something I noticed too between MK9 and MK10, the enhanced moves in MK9 actually felt like additional special moves. Right, so Scorpion throws one spear, then he throws two spears. He does his teleport punch, but then the teleport punch, he goes bang, and then does like an uppercut. So it actually felt like we were getting additional special moves. MK10 moving forward, it regressed, and it kind of felt like we were just getting like, oh, this now the harpoon does like extra damage or whatever. Like it doesn't. I like the visual change that we got a lot more in MK9 for enhanced moves than we did in future MK games.
Bring your full brain power when you play it because you'll get destroyed. Fantastic fighting. Fatalities. Well, I can't show any of them because this video will be sniped. The fatalities in this game are the best in the series up to this point. Look them up if you want. They are so gory and so thought out, it's just insane. Crypt. The Crypt...
So yeah, so again, I've talked at length about fatalities. I preferred the older school ones. Again, MK9 felt like we were getting those quick, snappy, oh my god, that instant shock. But they changed. With MK10 moving forward, they started going into gore porn. They changed the graphic engine to becoming a lot more realistic with the character models, and in doing so to match, we started getting really intricately detailed fatalities. I don't care. I don't need Mortal Kombat to be a horror game, and that's basically what it is. Right? MK, these fatalities were shocking, but MK9 still looks like a video game in the sense of like, the fantastical sort of, how do I describe this? It feels, because of the hyper realistic nature that they started going with the creation of the characters MK10 moving forward, then obviously that changed, like I was saying, the fatalities, the detail, and as they've said many times, they were going for a much more realistic look. MK9 still kind of has that fantasy, that fantasy feel to it, much like if you play Street Fighter. You know, there's this fantasy feel, like they're all, you know, they're like, might be over buffed, or the chicks are like really hyper sexy, that sort of thing. And it changed. They were starting to tone things down, which is when the woke crap started coming in MK10. They started toning things down, trying to go for this very ultra realistic sort of style, and just didn't like it. Just didn't like it, man.
In this game is also a high in the series at this point. It keeps it simple, just unlocking certain things with your currency, but you can kind of freely move, and there's a jump scare. The Crypt scared the hell out of me as a kid. It's really scary and brooding. To unlock things, you destroy tombstones, make hanging bodies give birth, get bodies in a blood pool, and kill people with various medieval torture methods. Fantastic Crypt. Challenge Tower.
Yeah, so just quickly on the Crypt, I missed the Crypt. Right? I liked how the Crypt in MK11 looked, but as soon as I realized that it was a loot box, it turned me off the entire game. Because then they just instantly like, nah, we're gonna make you grind for it. Right? And that's again where like live service becomes an absolute like net negative, right? Turning the entire Crypt into a loot box means you couldn't target stuff. You couldn't go to B9, say, to get a reptile alternate skin. They changed all that. They also brought in all the injustice crap, you know, for like gear pieces, so they could artificially inflate the amount of time and effort you have to get everything, for those especially that are completionist types. And then they do that and they go, oh, well, we're going to make everything RNG anyway. So then you're constantly grinding for stuff, right? Because they knew that, well, if everyone just clears the Crypt, that's it. Yet they could have realized they could have kept adding to the Crypt with more patches. It was like, oh, we added a whole new graveyard over here, you know, but to unlock that graveyard, you've got to do some specific stuff over here. And if they had like a story mode like Conquest, then they also could have tied that in. Oh, we've added some new quests to Conquest mode. You got to go do those, and that unlocks that thing over here. Now, I do know that they added things like events and sort of thing, like questing and whatnot, like certain times with the Crypt in MK11. But again, the loot box style of it, massive turn off. And then because of that, they added in time crystals, which allowed you then to go, oh, I'm not grinding for that crap. I'll just spend $5 and just bypass it, right? Because they are banking on the fact that you would much rather spend real world money to bypass the time and grind involved.
Initially, I plan on completing the challenge tower for this video, but to be honest, this video's taken long enough, and I didn't want to delay it anymore to show something whenever I already kind of had my opinion on it. My opinion is that the challenge tower is a great addition, and it adds a lot of variety to the game. From test your sight, might, and strike, to standing there and shooting projectiles at enemies, to test your luck, which includes...
By the way, one of the other things that's really good about the challenge tower is that it wasn't just some mindless tower. Like, for example, the invasion mode, they just, okay, you just stand there and just jump, duck, you know. The challenge tower, every single level felt like this tiny little story. There'd be like this little sort of narrative in the beginning about what you've got to do, but it made it kind of exciting. Like, Striker would be like, right, you know, what was it, like me and Johnny, that like Striker and Johnny, they've got to like deal with the zombies, you know. So then Johnny's got to shoot his fireballs, Striker shoots his gun. And you actually had some skill involved, because you had to, some of the zombies are slow, some of them are fast. You had to make sure you reloaded your gun. And you had that little narrative in the beginning. They kind of added to the flavor of it. Actually, to me, it's something that you could replay, because in and of itself, it was just this wonderful game mode.
Gambling, and I love gambling. It's just a fantastic addition. It gives you a chance to try out all the characters and have actual challenging experiences. The Vita version has an entire bonus tower as well, which is awesome. Multiplayer. I can't speak too much on the multiplayer component, because on PC it's basically unplayable. There's not...
So, technically true, technically not true. Unplayable in terms of population, but if you do find people that you can play within your region, within your region, you'll be fine. It's the same network coding that they had on the console versions, right? Except the console versions are cut off, which is why I recommend, if you've got a PC or even a laptop, get the PC version. if you can find some friends or other people, advertise on the Steam forum to find other people within your country, you should be fine. When I had the PS3 version, or I played people in Australia on the PC version, it's fine. Okay, obviously it's not going to be good as modern netcode or rollback, but it's fine. It works perfectly fine. Outside of Australia and New Zealand, for me, it turns into a shit show. So if you can find people locally, like within your country, it's probably the best way to go. Outside of that, it's probably going to be almost impossible.
Not much you could do without lagging like crazy, but I'm not going to dock it because I'm sure it was at least a little bit better at launch. Well, that's really all I wanted to talk about for this game. Mortal Kombat 9 is honestly better than Mortal Kombat 1. It feels better, has a great story, and most importantly, it feels like a content-complete game, where Mortal Kombat 1 just doesn't. Plus, this game doesn't have egregious microtransactions. I'm going to give this game a 10 out of 10. Seriously, I have some gripes with it, but honestly, overall, it's just an amazing game, and I'd highly recommend you try it out. Warner, please bring it to modern platforms. Just ditch MK1 at this point and do MK9 remastered and include Kratos on there and put it on PS5. It's what we need. Anyways, thank you so much for watching to the end. The Discord's in the description.
So this is an absolutely wonderful video. Please go check out the whole video if this is in your wheelhouse to watch. It's a great video. I was only covering like the little bits because it would just take forever, like going through every single chapter. MK9, I've said this before, MK9 would outsell every modern Mortal Kombat game combined. Right? Now, the reason why I make fun of the only pros is because they think the only thing that matters is the combat, right? And while it is a fighting game that is important, it doesn't matter when you've got a whole host of other things that you can do in the game. There are some gripes that I have with this game as well. For example, I wish that we could choose like the test your might, test your sight, that sort of those modes, except for test your luck. I wish we could choose any character and kind of go up like a ladder, you know, and break, say for example, test your might, you know, break sort of like each thing after the other with a character that you choose. But when you do choose test your might, it's a predetermined character per level. It's only a mini gripe, it doesn't matter. The other thing too that they brought back from the 3D era is the fact that you can do combos without actually having to touch the person. I don't like that. It's ridiculous, right? I like the fact that if you're gonna do, and I'm talking about like the dialer combos, you know, so it's like, you know, 1 1 2, 3 3 4, that sort of thing that are in the move list with all fighting games now. Like obviously with Mortal Kombat at least, you know, you can press the buttons and you don't even have to be touching the opponent. I don't like that. That's something for Tekken, something for Virtua Fighter, something for Dead or Alive. Not for a 2D fighter. This is obviously a 2D fighter, so those sorts of combos you should only be able to do when you're touching the opponent. When I play Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, right? The combos that you do, like the ones where it's like, you know, light, medium, or a combination of either, you can only do those when you're actually touching the opponent. If you're even so slightly back, you can't do the combos. You'll just do a standard slash, like heavy slash or whatever, right? So I really wish they would bring that back, how it used to be in 2D Mortal Kombat, especially with the run meter and the dialer combos and how they did them then, right? But outside of that, this is a perfect Mortal Kombat product, right? Not perfect, obviously, because I just mentioned issues, but as far as like, you know, Mortal Kombat satisfaction, this still, after all of these years, holds up to be the best Mortal Kombat game in existence. And I stand by the notion that the reason why they delisted MK9 was because they knew that they had to bury the past so they could force other people to engage and buy the future of Mortal Kombat. And it's just not working out. The guy's right. They need to bring MK9 back. For PC at least, remaster the actual cutscenes because it's very jarring for the cutscenes on PC and then going to in-game. Obviously roll back netcode. And if you don't believe me that they can do this, look at Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct just had their anniversary update and they, you know, obviously they brought it to they've added some extra graphical options, fixed the netcode, because Killer Instinct is still widely popular after what, 10 years? Like the new version of Killer Instinct. They need to do that with MK9. They are sitting on an absolute goldmine of cash, and out of their own arrogance, they just refuse to deal with this and just go, look, let's just give the people what they want, right? Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.